Gerry Ryan, the Ryan Line on 2FM, Ireland's number one.
Brenda, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Very good. Now, this is a dilemma that will face all parents, particularly those of daughters, isn't it, at some stage?
Yeah.
Tell us your story.
I rang you during the summer and thank you for all your help regarding bringing boyfriend on holiday.
I remember the conversation well.
What
What was my advice at the time?
You said you'll have a good holiday if you bring him.
Yes, and you'll have a crap holiday if you have a teenager moaning and moping around, living expatriate love away from her boyfriend.
Absolutely. It worked out fantastic.
Sorry.
Absolutely brilliant.
What am I?
You're a genius.
Correct.
It worked out brilliant and we had great fun.
I'm just a parent with some experience, that's all.
It was great. The only downside was the mobile credit just seemed to sort of eat into pockets in as far as if they weren't with us, they would be in contact with us. And the old roaming charges
are gigantic.
Add up. Yeah. But no, it was absolutely fantastic.
But at least you had somebody who was happy, in good form, didn't raise their eyes to heaven at every single thing you said, didn't, when you asked them would they like a drink, go, no.
Yeah.
Well, would you not like a drink? Can you have a glass of wine here with mum and dad? No.
Yeah, no, there was
So you didn't get any of that?
Not a thing. Offered and didn't want it.
Now, can I ask you the big $55,000 question? Remind me how old the daughter is.
She was 15.
15?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there was no question of your man sleeping in the same room with her?
No, we had separate rooms.
Oh, why? Did she think that was a plan, yeah?
No.
That's all right,
she accepted that. She
Okay.
accepted that. She's a good kid.
Okay, well, that's good. So it worked out well.
It worked out fantastic. So good that we're going to go away after Christmas again.
And he's been brought again?
Uh-huh.
Well, I think you're right. And I know that there were a lot of people in response, if I recall, to our conversation who were horrified. And we had a selection, a roll call of the completely outraged on after you and I were talking, going,
I know.
Are you mad, Gerry? Don't be ridiculous. Who calls the shots here? You just tell her that she's going on holidays and she can like it or lump it. She's lucky to be brought on holidays. And I was saying, that's all very well, but what do you do then when you're sitting down in the restaurant and somebody's grumping away, you know?
And the other side of it is, if you brought a girlfriend, you'd need to be watching them 24/7 because...
the two young ones together? Oh,
yeah.
I know, you know where that would lead. Mum, we're going out to discotheque Sahidi tonight. No, you're not. Is your older brother going with you? No. Patrick, I'm not going anywhere with him. He's gay. He's gay. And, well, you know, so, you know, you're the best. You're the best of both worlds.
We did.
And she was delighted too, I presume.
I'd recommend it to anybody.
Now, can I ask you another thing, Brenda? Did she say thank you?
She did. She did.
Good.
Without a doubt. And she knows she's lucky. Hopefully.
Well, yes, I do hope so. Did he say thank you?
She did.
No, did he say thank you?
Oh, did he say thank you? Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And you know, now putting on my old fogey hat, was he appropriately deferential?
Can you say that another way?
Well, did he thank you very much indeed, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir? I like a little bit of that.
Probably not as much as he could have done.
Okay.
But he was grand.
Okay, well then you might give note to daughter. A bit more lick arsing with the parents while we're away, okay?
Right. Right, no problem at all.
You're entitled to that. Now, I'm glad. I really feel you and I have been vindicated because I got it in the ear from a lot of my friends after that conversation who were going, oh, that was great, Gerry. That's brilliant. Daphne's now said that Sean is coming away with us. Thanks for that. We're going to have to bring him away skiing. Do you know how much that's going to cost? And I said, well...
That's the downside to having only one kid.
Yeah, and also, folks, that's the if that's the cost of having a pleasant holiday with a hormonal teenager. Well, then, that's so be it.
Yeah.
All right, Brenda.
Tell me now. Here's a cheeky question: anything in your sack, or is it all empty?
God, even Even a nun wouldn't ask me that.
I know, but Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. Do we give stuff to people who ask? You're after breaking the golden rule.
I know, but the thing is, I haven't heard of anybody else.
All right, here's what I'm going
asking,
to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to give you something.
Right.
But you're the last person who gets anything who asks.
All right.
Because I'll have to be very strict.
Okay, well, that's grand. The rule is set now. And
the rule is set now.
The precedent is there. So.
Santa sack has been opened, and let's see what I'm going to get for you. You were waiting for that, weren't you? You couldn't give a damn about the rest of the conversation.
Well.
All you were interested in the Santa sack. And you couldn't hold back. Sure you couldn't. You weren't able to hold yourself back.
I was.
Okay, it's all on. We're off to Brown Thomas's, and we've got... this is a beautiful piece. If you're a timekeeper, you'll be very interested in this. Whether you're looking for a clock to update your home or a fabulous gift, Newgate has them all. These striking clocks will make an impact wherever they hang, whether in a traditional or a contemporary setting. Set in decorative casing, surrounded by glass, these clocks have aged dials and ornamental hands. This catalogue of clocks ranges from the retro to the contemporary, vintage to the traditional. There is a clock for all tastes here, and we've got one Newgate clock all the way from BT's for you.
Thank you.
Isn't that fabulous?
That sounds lovely.
Okay, well done.
Okay.
Good luck, Brenda.
Have a lovely Christmas.
Yeah, you too, okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and I stick by what I said all those months ago to Brenda that, I think particularly with a 15-year-old girl, right? Bringing away the boyfriend, and a lot of people were outraged. A lot of people thought this is not a good idea. This is ridiculous. This is sending all the wrong signals. This is giving in to hormones. Yeah, it is. But you know what? Then you have a good holiday. Then everybody's happy. There's a smile on everybody's face. And you might even be kind of thanked for it. So I think... proof of the pudding was in the eating. The eating tasted good. They brought him on holidays. He seems to have behaved himself quite well. And she was very happy with herself, and everybody lived happily ever after. And they're actually so comfortable with the plan that they're going to do it all over again. I rest my case. 19
to 92. The Gerry Ryan Show, Monday to Friday, 9 till 12 on 2FM.
Alan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Well, I'm well. Mind you, I think I'm slightly better than you. I haven't been scammed in Turkey.
Yes, that's right, Gerry.
Now, in fact, this is, to say that you were scammed in Turkey, this was more than a scam. This was actually life-threatening, I would say, to be honest.
It was, yeah.
Tell us what happened.
Well, it was this day last week, Gerry. I'd seen in the papers, and I suppose primarily the Sunday papers in the last few months, there had been a lot of interest in Istanbul and Turkey in general as a weekend destination. And from my own perspective, I guess, just, with the EU membership side of things and just a general interest, I thought it might be a good place to go for a weekend and experience what Istanbul is like, Europe meets Asia and all that type of thing. So I went over last Thursday evening, and the plan was to stay just from late Thursday evening until Monday, and then return to Dublin. So I went over on Thursday night, got in very late, and I suppose Friday was my first day actually getting out and having a look around the city and stuff. So, I did a bit of research, obviously, on the Sunday paper websites before I went, the travel sections, and bought myself a few travel guides, and off I went. So Friday was the first day, had a look around the city. It was very much East meets West, a very different culture, and I've done a lot of travelling.
It's a fascinating city.
Yeah, and it is a fascinating mix of cultures and ethnic groups, etc. But when things heated up, I suppose, was Friday evening I went out, and one of the guidebooks I had mentioned this Taksim area was the place to go, and to my mind, the way it was described was sort of like a temple bar, pub stroke restaurant area of the town, and I thought I'll head down there and have a look around. So the first pub I went into, I don't drink, by the way, so I was strictly uncoached, but the first pub I went into was actually an Irish pub down there, and I bought myself a drink and was taking it all in, as they say, and two guys approached me. So as I say, I've done a lot of travelling, and I'd be in no means naive, but these guys anyways started a conversation. They said they were from the Turkish part of Cyprus, so northern Cyprus, and they said that they were there for the weekend just like me, and they were marble merchants.
Marble merchants?
Yes. So they said that they owned a marble trading company, and they supplied hotels around Turkey and Italy and all around Europe and stuff. So they said they were there for the weekend. One guy had said that he'd previously been in the city, and the other guy said it was his first time. The company had brought him over on this occasion. So, I had my wits about me, but I suppose, Gerry, it's one of those things where you have a bit of a balance between, you don't want to be too unfamiliar and aggressive with these guys, because ultimately you're on your own in a foreign city, versus at the same time you want to be curt in your conversation and try and wrap it up as quickly as you possibly can, so to speak. So anyway, I had a drink, and they were very interested in Ireland, and as I say, I didn't want to delve too deeply, so I was wrapping up, and these guys said to me, they said, look, we're going to a pub down the street here, do you want to join us? And I said, no, I said, I'm going to head home. And they said, well, look, just come for one. And, as I say, this was kind of the Istanbul equivalent of Temple Bar, I suppose. So
No, I've seen Midnight Express, you're grand, fine, thanks.
Yeah. So I said, okay, fair enough. So to cut a long story short, we went into this next establishment, and, a lot of people around, a lot of couples, bouncers on the door, it all looked, fairly normal. And we stood at, one of these sort of high tables. So we stood there, and the fellas brought back 3 beers. But, a beer over there, obviously it's not one of our pints. It's quite a small glass. So although I don't drink, I thought, well, look, I can knock this back and say, all the best, lads. I'm heading back to my hotel, and that's the end of it. So I finished my drink anyway, and I said to the fellas, I said, I'm just going to nip to the bathroom. So off I went to the bathroom, and I'm in there, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Stephen, now it's, exit strategy time. You have to do this as quickly as possible. Get out of here, off we go. So I'm standing there, and next minute one of the lads comes in, and he says to me, what's the problem? And I said, there's no problem. He says, you're going. I said, no, I'm just going to the bathroom.
Oh,
so
God,
I came back.
Did your heart not sink at that moment?
Gerry, it is one of those feelings, isn't it, where it's a form of terror that you don't know, and all you're thinking to yourself is, I'm in a foreign city.
I'm shagged.
Exactly, and nobody back home knows where I am or what I'm doing, and I could vanish off the face of this earth quite easily at this point in time.
And was the guy aggressive at this stage, was he?
Slightly.
Yeah.
So this is where it really began to hot up. So of course my jacket and my bits and pieces were back at the table, and I thought to myself, well, I can't just head for the door. I need to go back and get my stuff anyway. And as well as that, again, you're in your head, you're going, play it cool, try and suppress the adrenaline rush. So I get back, and within seconds, a bunch of about 6 girls appear at the table who, guess what, clearly prostitutes. So I thought to myself, okay, and hello, how are you, and all this
how
kind
are
of
you?
thing. Yeah, and I said, great, how are you? And I'm just thinking, back away. So
blowjobs, €5. That's very good.
So I take my jacket, and I say to the lads, I say, it's time to go. And with that, a man in a suit arrives, and he says, oh, you're leaving us, sir? And I said, oh, I am, yes. I'll just pay for these 3 beers here, and I'll be on my way. And he says, that's no problem. That's €1,000.
€1,000 for the 3 beers?
For the 3 very small glasses.
And what kind of face had he got on when he was saying that to you?
Quite, I mean, like I suppose like any...
It's €1,000, sir, for the 3 beers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, totally straight-faced, and dare I say it wasn't the first time that, this little plan had been put into action by these type of guys.
So now you must have just shit yourself completely at that point.
Absolutely. I mean, at this stage now, your heart couldn't be thumping any faster in your chest, and everybody in
and did he even say to you, by the way, you get one of the birds for that there? No,
no, and I wasn't.
You got 3 beers.
Exactly.
Not great values.
Not great, not even by Dublin standards. So I said to him, I don't have that much money on me. I said, and how can 3 beers be €1,000? And he said, oh, these aren't beers. We call these lady drinks. And I said, lady drinks? And he said, yes, you had female company. So I turned around at this bunch of about 5 or 6 girls, and I said, no, I said, they're nothing to do with me. They've just arrived. I didn't ask them. They've said hello to me, and I've said goodbye to them, and that's the end of it. Okay. I said, I want to pay this bill, and I want to move on. Thank you very much. So he says to me, the music's loud here. Can you just step over here, and we can have a discussion about this? So I said, yeah, no problem. Again, trying to be cooperative and just assuming that hopefully this will have a happy ending. And he brings me out to a stairwell, and at which point I'd say there would have been about 4 or 5 men basically rugby tackled me. Now I'm not particularly tall and I'm not particularly well built, and I wasn't putting up a fight at all. There was no aggression on my part. So one of them grabbed me down around the neck and dragged me down the stairs, 2 flights of stairs into a basement. And
basement.
Yes.
Oh, it's really going well now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I'm in the basement with the Turkish guys.
So they bring me into a room with no windows and they lock the door.
Yeah.
And they left me in there. I can only assume...
Were you praying at this stage, right?
Absolutely. And I was thinking about family, and I was thinking about how do I get out of this. And, it's as if in your head you're writing your own headlines.
Oh, yeah.
Irishman goes to Turkey, vanishes.
Oh, no.
Type thing.
No, I don't like it. I'm actually getting very uncomfortable listening to this. Go on. What happened next?
So they left me in the room for a few minutes, and then I'd say, let me think, there would have been 5 of them came into the room. And they said, okay, how are you going to pay your bill? And I said, well, I don't have 1,000 euros. I said, I really can't give you that amount of money. And at this stage, to be honest, Gerry, all I wanted to do, I would have handed them every penny I had on me just to get...
Had your credit cards?
I did, exactly. Okay. So they emptied my pockets, and I had probably equivalent of about 400 euro of Turkish lira on me. Okay. So they saw that, and then, of course, they saw the credit cards. So he said, the one credit card I had. So he said... okay, we're going to take this and you're going to have to pay with your credit card. And then he says, tell you what, he says, we'll take your this money. And as I say, the cash was about 400 or so. And he says, we'll go to an ATM, he says, and we'll take out about 500 euros if you can do it. Now, of course, Gerry, I don't know about many of your listeners, but I wouldn't know my credit card PIN from one year to the next. I'd have no idea what it is. I don't use my credit card to withdraw cash from ATMs. But touch wood, it turned out that the number it ended up was the same as my laser number. So all those years ago, thank God, when I was setting up the credit card, I obviously chose the same number. So he... The bunch of lads, anyway, one of them takes out a knife and he puts it to my back, and the other guy takes the back of my jacket into a bunch. And he says, okay, we're going to go up to the street now, and we're going to bring you to a bank. So they marched me down the street with the knife in my back, and they brought me to the ATM and put in the card, and he says, hit that button, hit that button, hit that button, and a wad of cash comes out. And he quickly takes it and takes the card, and with that a taxi pulls up onto the pavement, the door opens, and they throw me in the back and close the door.
Where did you go to then?
So the taxi driver said, well, where are you going? And luckily I had a small little post-it note type size piece of paper in my pocket where I'd written the name and the address of the hotel, just in case as I say, I don't drink, so I hadn't expected that I'd have any problems remembering where I was going, but I thought, just in case, I'll keep this little bit of paper on me for any language difficulties. So I can only assume that the taxi driver may have been in on it as well, because he didn't bat an eyelid. So I went
got you back to the hotel.
I got myself
Did you get the police?
Well, this is the interesting thing. I went into the hotel hyperventilating at this stage. I was in complete shock as to what had happened, and I went to the hotel manager. It was a nice hotel, and he had perfect English. And I said to him, "I need the police," and I explained what happened. And cool as a cucumber, doesn't flinch. He looks at me and he says, "You're a very lucky man." And I said, "Well, I don't think I'm very lucky at the minute." And he said, No. He said, "First of all, they've taken probably around 1,000 euros off you. You're lucky, that's all it is." And he starts listing off guests that 3,000, 4,000 euros. Yeah. He says, "You're also very lucky that they didn't stab you. That's highly likely in those scenarios that they stab you just to up the ante. So there's going to be no fight." And he said, as well as that, he said, male rape is a common outcome of these events when they bring you to the basement. And
male rape down in the basement.
Yeah, and he also said, by the way, he said, had you been with a girlfriend, she definitely would have been raped. Jesus. So, not only that,
whoa.
He also said to me that basically a lot of the official tourist guides who wear flashy little badges with holograms and walk around the city and say, "I speak English, I give you a tour." He said they also are into similar scams, only with carpet shops and restaurants, where essentially you're brought to
whatever
the back
about the carpet shops, whatever about the restaurants, the male rape, the stealing of the money, raping your girlfriend, the physical violence, the stabbing. Oh.
It was awful.
If this isn't a warning, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, and just to also let your listeners know, in terms of the police, he said to me there's absolutely no point in contacting them. He said because, number one, as an English speaker, what they do is they make a big fuss and they tell you it's going to take about 3 months with 3 statements. In that period, when you make your first official statement, they retain your passport.
Yeah.
And he said, until obviously the matter is closed. And he said, don't forget, the chiefs of police in these districts are very much in bed with the guys that do this type of thing. So money's changing hands and a blind eye is turned.
And
that's
by
why
this time tomorrow, I would expect that the Turkish Tourist Board will be contacting us. Let's see what they have to say. Thank you for telling me that absolutely terrifying story.
Thank you.
You're stuck in traffic. You don't like your job. Your boss is evil. Your car is falling to pieces. It cost more to fill it with petrol than it did to buy. People always think you're 10 years older than you are, because you are. Nothing you own is actually paid for. Your house payment is 3 months overdue, and so is your girlfriend. Nothing is as important as The Will Leahy Show, Monday to Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. on 2FM. Everything else can wait.
2FM.
Martin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
Welcome. Now, it's inevitable. Drugs seem to be on the front page of every newspaper this morning. There are huge amounts of speculation. There is concern, and it's not just tabloid, I suppose, that there is a section of the community using drugs in a way maybe that they weren't used before. And we're seeing deaths, and there's no doubt about that. Now, your role, your position, what was it?
I was a coke dealer in London a few years ago.
How did you get into that, Martin?
Well, I don't know, like everybody did, I suppose. I used to just get for myself, and then it was cheaper to get for myself and my mates. When you were buying bigger quantities, it was easier to get bigger quantities for less money. You know, and you was sorting out myself and my friends, and then that's all it ever really was. I was never a big-time coke dealer. It was just
You were sort of a social cocaine dealer.
social, yeah.
Did you make much money out of it?
No, just kind of free weekends, and you know, I live in, kept a roof over my head, kept a flat. There was 2 of us kind of involved. We were able to keep a flat, and we were able to get out every night of the weekend and most weeknights.
And where did you get the drugs from?
From a bigger source, if you know what I mean.
And the number of people, how many people would you have been supplying, Martin?
20, probably 20, 25.
And did the police ever become interested in you?
No. I was lucky in that sense, I suppose.
And did you mix the cocaine yourself?
No, we used to get the cocaine, and it was good quality cocaine. And we could have, and I knew fellas that were doing that, mixing it with, I don't know, what do you call them, tablets to keep you awake. You can buy them in any chemist, them Pro Plus. Used to crush up Pro Plus and bring double the weight of the stuff, and then you'll double your money, obviously.
Well, of course, cocaine as it comes into Ireland is apparently 80% pure, so you couldn't be taking that, you'd kill yourself. So that's usually knocked down to about 20 to 25%.
Yeah, we were getting it, say, at 50%.
Okay.
And we, instead of selling a gram of cocaine, we'd sell 0.7 of a gram of cocaine. And people that were buying it off us knew what they were buying, and they could do what they liked. They could mix it if they wanted. They could take it 50% cocaine.
So you were selling very strong...
smaller amounts of pure cocaine.
Very smaller amounts of almost pure cocaine.
Yeah.
And this practice that we're hearing referred to of eating cocaine, it's already claimed the lives of one man. God only knows, maybe have been many others and we haven't heard about it. And we know of one fella still in a coma in Waterford. There's even a suggestion that, God help her, poor Katie French may have been involved in something similar. However, that's all hearsay and allegations. There's nothing to prove that. I don't understand why anybody would eat cocaine. I have absolute, and I'm not stupid. I'm not naive, I can assure you, but I don't understand why anybody would eat it.
Well, the only reason you'd be eating cocaine is because if it's mixed with the wrong things, it loses its powder form. You can't chop it up. It won't go up your nose. So the only option is to eat it. But see, that's the problem. The cocaine the stuff that's being passed off as cocaine is not cocaine. There's all sorts being put into it now. As far as I haven't taken it in years, but I've seen what they're calling cocaine now. I wouldn't touch this stuff now. I don't know
what do you believe is in it? This is the cocaine here in Ireland.
The cocaine here in Ireland now.
And what do you think it is?
I don't know, whatever will mix with it, whatever will bring up the weight of it.
Yeah, well, we've heard that people use bleach in it to make it whiter.
Yeah.
That they use...
Baby teething powder goes into it.
Baby teething powder, diuretic tablets.
Yeah. Anything that... The baby teething powder is very popular because it gives the same sensation. People rub it on their gums. Oh, yeah, it's numb. Oh, yeah, it's good coke.
Did you have any sense of responsibility towards the people that you were selling the drugs to, or did you feel that it was just their business and nobody else's?
I was partying with all these people. Do you know what I mean? They were all friends. They were all associates of mine. But the thing I can't understand now is about people going out in one night and next to wind up in a coma from taking cocaine. Do you know, I've seen people, and I've done it myself, I've been up for 3 days taking cocaine. And you will need a couple of days sleep. You will feel a bit rough after it. But it shouldn't do that. Not if it's good cocaine, it shouldn't be doing that. It's just what's getting put into it. People should not touch it anymore because nobody knows what's in it now.
Well, I think there's a suspicion that people are putting methamphetamine into it. I think there's a suspicion that some cocaine may even have crack cocaine in it.
Yeah, there is meth. Yeah, there is that meth gone into it. Yeah, and that's making it more addictive as well.
Making it much more addictive and making it a much greater rush and stronger. And of course, that's going to have people coming back for return business.
Yeah,
much more readily. I'm going to bring Trish in here as well. You're off it anyway yourself.
Oh, I am.
And just quickly before we go to Trish, all the people that you supplied to.
Yeah.
Did any of them ever become ill?
No, I've never. Well, I'm talking. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah, but did any of them ever become ill on the drugs that you sold them?
No.
Do they all still take it?
They all still take. Well, I'm not in contact with. That was in London back in the day, but
okay.
I'm not in contact with any of them now. But no, I've never seen anybody to fall ill or to go into a fit.
Why did you stop taking it?
7 days a week for a couple of years kind of takes its toll. When you start to lose weight and you look in the mirror some mornings and you're just in bits. It was getting the holes. Like I had to just pull away from the whole scene, get away from it.
And that's why you came back here, was it?
Yeah, I came back and settled down again.
Would you subscribe then to the theory that we heard yesterday, time and time again, that not only do you have to give up the physical act of the drugs, but you have to get away from the people? Get
away from the whole scene. Okay. Yeah, that's what you have to do.
All right, don't go away. Stay with us. I appreciate your candour this morning.
Hi, I'm Helen Keogh, CEO of World Vision Ireland. You may already know about our child sponsorship programme, but did you know that we also have the World Vision Alternative Gift Catalogue that allows you to choose essential goods to give to a family in Africa? It has goats and piglets as always, plus some more unusual but vital items ranging from birth attendant kits to solar panels. Please choose a gift that will truly change a life this Christmas. Text change to 51500 or visit worldvision.ie.
Standard message rates apply.
Sam Macaulay's is a treasure trove of Christmas gift ideas for all ages, with classic fragrances including Calvin Klein, Lacoste and Chanel, for her and him as well. Leading digital cameras from Fuji, Canon, Nikon, and electrical health and beauty items including hair straighteners, curling tongs and razors. The ever-popular, always versatile Sam Macaulay gift card. And lots of other thoughtful gifts, large and small, to suit every Christmas stocking.
At Sam Macaulay's, we've got Christmas wrapped.
This is the Gerry Ryan Show on 2FM. Call 08457 585 285 from Northern Ireland.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of people texting in relation to Martin. Some are interested in what he has to say. Others are fairly negative, as you could appreciate. Martin, get that scumbag off the air is one comment. I won't even ask you to react to that. But I presume you do have a reaction. Trish, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Not too bad, thank you.
Okay, welcome. You were listening to what Martin was saying. You've heard the conversations over the last few days.
I have, and they've been very interesting, and I can relate to a lot of them. Especially, there's a few areas now to go over. One in particular, I would agree, as you just said, if somebody is to give up their drug use, they need to get away from the people who are also taking...
That applies to alcohol as well, you know, by the way.
It does, too, yes. If somebody has a drink problem, too, it's very difficult to sit down with somebody who's having a pint beside you or a glass of wine. Mm-hmm. Say with cocaine, for example, if you'd not taken the stuff for ages and you were doing your best to keep away from it, you didn't necessarily go out and seek it, but if somebody came in to the room beside you and had a big Kate Moss line in front of you, it would be very difficult to not take it. if you had previously taken it. However, that's not to say you wouldn't necessarily go out and
Well, we shouldn't be surprised at that. If an ex-smoker, and we often hear this said, if an ex-smoker will say, and I presume you've heard this said as well, I walk into a room, I smell cigarette smoke, I nearly start shaking with the desire to light up a cigarette. So if that's happening with nicotine, why wouldn't it happen with cocaine?
Yeah,
of course it does.
I perfectly agree with that you do need to make the break from people using it. On the other point, I would totally agree with the email that the girl sent, a girl or boy, they didn't say where they were, who sent in yesterday about people using drugs in the early 90s, which I would have fit into that category.
Yeah.
I'm in my mid-30s now and married with children and settled down and fine. But, at those times, people still of that generation would still dabble. Nowhere near to the extent that they used to, because they have responsibilities now. But people would still dabble. But I would think the amounts that people are taking nowadays are getting much, much bigger. Maybe it's because they have money.
Well, that was my theory yesterday, that we have a whole new community, a new society of younger people who have more disposable income, who've skipped the whole experience of growing up with drugs or alcohol or any of the crutches that people use, particularly in Irish society, and have since the cave. And they have no understanding of what's going on. They're much more hedonistic. They don't seem to have the breaks that previous generations had when it comes to self-preservation. And when they rock out to the power of 10.
And parents, when I was young, my parents wouldn't have had a clue what was going on. The only drug they were aware of was alcohol, that was it. And they thought if you took a joint, it was the same as injecting yourself with heroin. And that was people's views.
Now, in relation to people like Martin, you're still there, Martin. Can I just ask you, get that scumbag off the air. How do you react to that?
Well, I would disagree with that because any dealings I would have had through in my past or with other people who are still using drugs very heavily at the moment, it's not that the dealers are coming pushing the drugs on them, it's them nagging the dealers. And, it's basically them ringing the dealers at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, I want more coke, or getting heroin, or whatever it might be. And the dealer is taking more risk. If they're caught, they're going to be done for dealing, not possession. The user will only be done for possession.
But you're going to annoy a lot of people with that.
I know
opinion.
I will annoy a lot of people
I'm
with
not
that.
saying
but
it's
at the end of the day,
realistic,
if somebody wants to buy a drug and they don't get it from one person, they will go to another person.
Okay.
If you can't get what you want in Tesco's, you'll go to SuperValu. And you'll shop around until you find what you want to get. And it's not at the end of the day, people have this image of dealers that they're hanging around outside school gates, injecting people. And I just don't think that's the reality.
Well, certainly not in the community that we're talking about over the last week. That's not the profile.
With all this, with the amount of cocaine that's been in the newspapers at the moment, with all these parties, with the people in Waterford, with the people, with even Katie French, if that was what happened to her, and all the different incidents of heart attacks and cardiac arrest.
But 20 or 30 years ago, you didn't have a whole load of people in a pub, some of whom may not have even have known each other, getting absolutely off their faces, having a whip round, and a guy arriving with a Tesco bag full of cocaine. That wasn't happening.
No, it wasn't happening.
People were taking much smaller amounts, and it was a much more measured. I'm not saying that that's necessarily, an indication that previous generations were smarter or that they had a better handle on it, but it doesn't seem to have been the level of serious illness, death, coma, disability that seems to be part and parcel of every single day we open up a newspaper.
Well, I think the thing is people are just taking much more amounts now than they used to.
And the quality is not the same.
The quality is not the same. In that time, you'll get your pure rock. But half the time,
but it's easy to put back the rock farm to compress it again. It's
just squash it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me this, Trish, why did you stop taking it? I understand, reading between the lines, that's what you're saying to us, that you have stopped.
Yes, no, in my early days, in the early 90s, I would have been out clubbing and during the rave scene.
Yeah.
And in those days, as a student, early job, etc. It was a weekend thing. sometimes during the week, but you still went up and did your work, you did your studies, you went to
And
your job.
what were you
took over.
taking?
Well, in those days, it would have started off initially with alcohol, then there would have been joints for a long time, then went through a phase of acid, then got sick of that, then went on to the E's. And in and out of that, if we could afford it, some coke, and speed was the cheaper alternative in those days. But when I'm describing in those days now, a small amount of cocaine would have done a few people, maybe, a gram would have been split between a few
and the
people.
idea, the concept of people sitting around smashed out of their minds on booze with a Tesco bag full of damp coke and a wooden spoon shoveling it into your mouth.
No, it didn't happen.
No, a small amount of coke. A gram of coke would do a person tonight.
Yeah, and you could even split it. Whereas now,
and I think what we're hearing on this programme over the last 2 or 3 days is somebody getting a gram of coke, doing the gram of coke in one go. In one go.
You wouldn't have been able to do that with cocaine 10 years ago.
No.
You'd be spaced out of your head for hours waiting for it to wear off, sweating bullets.
Now, Carmel, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you're saying test them in schools.
Yeah, I have a 15-year-old boy who we were called into the school about a year ago in relation to his behaviour. And basically, we found out that he was smoking pot. I brought him up to a counsellor and he was tested and it came up positive. Now, I'm constantly bringing him up to get spot checked all the time. But I was speaking to the principal in the school, and children actually go into class stoned. And they can't do anything about it. Now, I really believe that all children should be tested in school, and if they are found to have any substance, they should be expelled. That's what I believe.
What's that going to do, though?
Well, put it this way. In the school that my son is in, there are 2 well-known dealers in the school.
In the school?
In the school,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was 14 when he was smoking it. As I said, I have an 8-year-old now that I have to think about him. My 14-year-old is very immature. Well, he's 15 now. He's very immature and he can be very easily led. So, it's going to get worse.
And but the just say no thing seems to have a history of almost universal failure. Testing reassures the parent, and I believe, I'm sorry to say this, but I believe little else. I think if you're in a programme of rehab, you have to have testing. And I know that some of the, like NA and AA, they sometimes resort to it, there's no doubt about that. But what does it do with your son, except make you feel comfortable that he hasn't got cannabis in his bloodstream? Are you attacking the problem?
Yeah, well, he's actually seeing a counsellor, a drugs counsellor, and he's done so much for him. He's a different child.
Oh, well, thank God for that.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Can I ask you, Martin, what advice would you give somebody like Carmel? I know this sounds strange to be asking an ex-drug dealer, but maybe you're exactly the right man.
He's been smoking hash, is it?
Yeah, he has, yes.
I don't know, take him up to some seedy part of Dublin where there's a load of junkies and give him a look at that.
You see, there speaks from the horse's mouth. You see, there from the horse's mouth. This is the thing that's worrying me about this entire debate. The amount of kit gloves that are being worn, the amount of, and then we'll all sit down and say the rosary, and then we'll all do this, we'll all do that. Oh, just say no. I tell you, Martin's absolutely right. You bring him, and I think you know the names of 1 or 2 of these places. You bring him there, Carmel, put him out of the car and leave him for 20 minutes. He'll shit himself. And that'll show him exactly where it could all lead to.
Gerry Ryan.